Hey, welcome back, everybody. Hopefully another fun Soapbox Sunday here, 1/13/2019. I kind of messed that up last time and kept saying 18. But what I'm going to get on my soapbox about today is my software that I use for video editing. I use the Camtasia suite by Techsmith. It's not a cheap product, but it's always been very good for me. It's very full-featured and it does things very simply. That in like something like Adobe Premiere Pro would just take you a lot of steps and whatnot. However, their support for Logitech cams, you've probably seen my quality of my recordings like this has just gone downhill over the last few months. And they're lots of forum posts. They're blaming it all on Logitech, but yet other software I've played around with seems to work fine with this camera. So any rate, I'm ready to jump ship and find something else. If you guys have got any recommendations besides Adobe Premiere Pro stuff or the Camtasia stuff, shoot me an email or make comments down below. I would appreciate it. All right, we're trying something new here on Soapbox Sunday. Every week, I'm going to try to bring you a technical tip inside of Soapbox Sunday. That way it's not all about me just ranting and raving, and it's a little bit of a technical tip. I may give you a tip on how to do something. I may walk you through a little schematic. I may explain a component. It'll be short, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, something like that. But just try to bring a little technical value to these instead of just always being about me ranting and raving. All right, today you're going to get two tech tips in one. First off, see this little container I've got here? I buy them at Walmart, made by Sterlite. You can buy them in a box of 10, and they're about $2.70 a piece. They're pretty darn cheap, and they come in this size and two larger sizes that Walmart carries. And I use them from everything from storing vacuum tubes to components and parts. Last I counted, I had hundreds of these. There are lots of them all over my basement, but that's not the real tip. It's just one you got kind of built in there. But this is the tip. Okay. If you notice, this box is labeled audio shielded jumper wires, and inside of it I've probably got 40 or 50 here of these little shielded audio jumper wires in all different colors, red, orange, and if you notice, they're in all different lengths, all different shapes and colors. But what they are, almost all of them will have a left channel, a right channel, and a shielded wire on it. Same thing on the other side. They're nice. Most of them are nicely wrapped on the ends. Perfect for using in a console amp restoration where you're trying to carry the signal maybe from the RCA inputs through the into the first driver stage of the amplifier or whatnot. Perfectly for when you're building an amplifier. But how I get these, I go to Goodwill. Okay. Look for cassette decks. Not a high-end cassette deck like you might bring home and restore or sell. I'm talking El Cheapo stuff, okay? A Sanyo cassette deck or whatever. These things are typically $3, maybe $2, sometimes $5, but at any rate, you open them up on the inside, and most of them, not all of them, but most of them, you'll find 2, 3, or 4 of these type of jumper wires inside of it that you can cut out and use again later. And I find them to be absolutely wonderful for what you pay for them. You get a couple of these, you can get the power cord off the unit. You typically get the fuse holder. I mean, there's quite a bit you can get off of off an old cassette deck. That's definitely worth spending a couple dollars on. But that is my tech tip for today. All right, a few weeks ago I mentioned a concept I had where could I build a push-pull EL84 amplifier of decent quality that would sound really good for $300 to $350, and kind of make a bomb for it, much like I did with the other builds, and something you could turn around and build them based on the video series I made. And so I kind of threw that out there. Would people be interested in it? And I've gotten lots of responses saying, yes, 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 please do this. So it is on the list. At some point this year, I'll tell you what I've got up in front of it. I want to get the audio analyzer suite and a video series finished up around that. 2, I want to get this 6SN7 preamp built and a video series done on it. Then we're going to come around to El Cheapo. We're probably going to call it something besides El Cheapo, but hey, the name's kind of stuck at this point. Maybe there's another language you can say El Cheapo in that, and it'll be a sexy set of words instead of El Cheapo. But any rate, we're going to do it, definitely. Along the way, we're going to mix in some other stuff, soapbox Sundays and restorations, but maybe by summertime, we'll get around to building El Cheapo together. All right, just a little quick update here on the Analog Discovery 2 Audio Analyzer Suite. I have gotten this thing where I want it. I feel like I've checked a box now and I'm pretty much done with it. You can see here in the picture how I've kind of got it up on the bench right now. I don't have the cover back on it yet because I've been tweaking a little bit here and there, but I'm extremely happy with how it's performing, how it's working. The biggest challenge I've had over the last week has been the length of my USB cable. I had to end up with about a 22-foot USB cable to get from my PC around my desk and around back to get to this. And so I ended up having to put a powered USB switch in line to help keep the power levels up. But after that, everything's been working great. You can see a picture here of the inside of it. I am going to do a full video series on it, so don't go trying to build anything based on these pictures. But it's all self-contained, dummy load and audio analyzer, all in one little 1U rack mount, 19-inch rack mount unit. So hopefully when I get done, I'm thinking I'm going to delete the current videos I have out there and just start brand new fresh with maybe one or two videos in the series on how to build this thing from beginning to end. So stay tuned. I'm going to do that over the next 2 or 3 weeks, I promise. All right, up next, some viewer builds. So a guy named Curtis sent me this. He built the 807 amplifier, used a little bit bigger chassis than I did, which I actually like. Mine was a little bit tight. But you see your independent volume knobs, left and right channel, a nice little blue bulb light on the front of it there. As you can see underneath here, got both chokes underneath there. Had a lot more room to work with than I did. You know, I think all in all did a good job. Got the bus ground running in this thing. Hey, looks good to me. And check this thing out, playing here with the nice blue glow. All right, up next, a guy named Hitchum sent me these pictures. He has started building the KT88 amplifier, and you know, it's looking good from what I can see here. Starting to wire up the heater wirings. It looks like nice and tight wraps. Got his capacitors mounted in there. Kind of got his tag strips off each side of the tube sockets. I think he's on his way to greatness here. Keep up the good work. All right, up next, I don't know what to say here other than this guy shouldn't be watching my videos. I should be watching his videos. A guy named Robert sent me these pictures of, he basically built the KT88 amplifier that we've been talking about. Used a little bit different iron and components here on it, you can see. A guy seems to be a master woodworker of some sort. He certainly has skills that are probably exceed mine in many ways, and looks like he's certainly got some time on his hands. This thing turned out absolutely beautiful from what I can see here. And by the way, he made a YouTube video. I think it's 4 or 5 minutes long. Just kind of plays you through the build of this. I will link it down below. Please go watch it. I have some new inspiration at this point. This guy did an amazing job on this, by the way. All right, I thought going forward I would just start showing you kind of my Hamfest picks here in the Soapbox Sunday video series. So I picked up a couple tubes. Inside the Hamfest I found a brand new 6V6 GT tube and a 12AU7. And I was looking at this one earlier here, the little 12AU7. It turns out it's a K-part, but it looks like a 1955 GE tube here is what it actually looks like. It looks to be brand new in the box. I got it and the 6V6 both for $1 a piece. Then outside I bought these brand new in the box 866s here. As you can see, got 4 of those. I think those were $2 a piece. And then I paid $5 a piece for 4 813s here. And I thought this was pretty cool. So Norelco, this is a kind of a Joint Army Navy 813 VT144 made by North American Phillips Corporation here. and with the Norelco name on it. I did not realize the Norelco, I knew the Norelco Phillips tie. I didn't know it was used on vacuum tubes, and then it went back this far, because this is probably a military surplus tube. If you look at the date on it right here, looks like, I'm not sure that's a proper date. It says 39. I don't think it's quite that old. Let me see if I can date it anywhere else on here. Nope, I don't think so. Anyway, picked up an 807 for $1. And I got this, I can't remember exactly, I might have paid $8 for this one, but it's an 838 tube. Kind of an odd triode that you don't see a lot, but they are used in audio sometimes. You just don't see them a ton. Let me see what else I got. Okay, this one certainly needs some cleaning up, but it's all there. It's a Heathkit IG-18 sine square wave audio generator. So these are great little units for just your audio workbench. And by the way, Heathkit.com, even though that's, Heathkit kind of went out of business, somebody's resurrected Heathkit.com. And on their website, they sell a kit that goes inside of this that greatly reduces the distortion number and basically makes this a high precision, low distortion device. And those kits are about 30 bucks. I ordered one of them. So we're going to get it in, we're going to clean this up, and we're going to restore it together. And I've probably got 6 or 7 of these down in the barn. So if we get one of them working right, we may do the others too. And I'll just hang on to them for when people may need one day. They reach out to me and say, hey, I really need a good audio generator for my bench that's not too expensive. I paid $10 for this. I was telling the guy standing with me when I bought it, the knobs alone on this thing are worth more than $10. So I think this will be a fun project for us. All right, this was my absolute favorite find of the Hamfest, and it is a little misleading. You'll see here in a minute. So I ran into a guy named Brad. I see him at about all the Hamfest. He's from up the Raleigh way, I think. But he's the guy that I bought my Variac / dim bulb tester setup that I use on my workbench. So you guys have probably seen it many times, and pretty much every one of my videos got a really nice kind of round GE voltmeter on the front of it. It's got a current meter, it's got current limiting capabilities, and it's got the Variac all built into it on my bench, right? Well, I walked up to Brad and I saw this sitting on his table, and I thought, wow, that's an interesting signal generator, but let's take a look inside of it. All right, as you can see, it is not a signal generator. He just used the cabinet to mount this this unit in. What it is a Variac setup, very similar to what I've got on my bench in there right now. Except instead of using an analog current and voltmeter, he's incorporated digital analog and current meters. And by the way, you can buy these things really cheap, these little meters. The problem is they don't come on until you get up around 60 volts. Well, Brad went the extra step and built in a 5-volt supply here to power this thing all the time. So even down at 0 volts, you kind of get your 0 volt reading over here on your meter. And what I love about this is a super smooth Variac. As you turn it up, this bulb starts to glow brighter and brighter, just to let you know it's kind of coming up. As you can see, the voltage climbs up. It does pull a little bit of current through the Variac itself, even with no load in it. But as you can see here, you can crank it right up to whatever voltage you want. This one's 7.5 amp unit. The one I've got on the bench in there's only a 5 amp unit. He's also, as you can see here, rectified it on one side at 30 amps, so you can pull off 140 volt DC if you needed that. You got plug-in connection here, got power, the fuse holder, power light. I don't know, crazy. Bought this for $75 off of Brad. I think he has some spare time at work, and I think he has access to just a lot of surplus parts laying around. And I think he enjoys building these things and bringing them. It's more to just help out other hams and whatnot to have a nice Variac setup. So I very well may replace what I have on my bench with this unit right here. It's a beautiful looking little unit. It seems to work quite well. So that was my find of the Hamfest. And by the way, I got a full-blown schematic. So if somebody's interested in building one of these, I've got the schematic and could probably lead you down the path of all the parts. All right, I've had people asking me, Mark, what are your impressions so far of the etracer, curve tracer slash tube tester? And I'm going to tell you they're phenomenal. I'm so happy with this thing. It's the size of a shoebox or smaller. It sits right here on my desk. It's integrated with my PC and software. I will tell you, changing the wires around to adjust between tubes takes about a minute, to be honest. So it might not be quite as fast as switching between tubes as some other units. But I mean, even like a 539C or TV7 will take you about probably 30 seconds. To give you an example where this might take just a little bit longer than that. But once you're on a tube type, if you're testing 4, 5, or 10 of the same type, it's wonderful. You got the curve tracing matching capabilities, and also check this out. Okay, if you watch my video, part 1 and 2, on how to build the etracer, which were more about how to build one of them, but in there I mentioned, hey, one thing that would make this tube tester really nice would be if Chris would add a label printing function into it, much like the Amplitrex has. No more than 1 week later after I made that statement, check out what Chris has added. Software trial version uploaded, added a label printing function that works with the Brother QL label settings. And he made an entire video on how to use the software, and he's even made an update since then. You can see here. Let's see here, formal version 2.03. Here we are. He's got 2.15. So in a week he's 2 more versions. Version number 2.15 alpha is up. It's also got label printing function to the combo test window. So you got lots of different printing options on this thing now. I'm just extremely happy with the product, the design and how it's been built, Chris and his support, and the kind of user community here around it. I think it's the best thing going right now in tube testers, value for your money. All right, it looks like about 3,300 people have watched this video since I made it in December. And it was an interesting approach I took. So I had a Scott 222C, I think it was, 299D, I'm sorry, on my bench, right? And I had to solve a problem within it, right? And I thought I could make a video on how to repair or restore a Scott 299D. But then again, I thought, why don't I make a video instead on how to approach troubleshooting a tube amplifier issue? So I just took a different approach to it. I didn't make it about the 299D. I made it about how to systematically go about troubleshooting a tube issue. And hold on, let me show you this. I've got a similar scenario right now. I've got a ICO HF85 preamp here on my bench that the guy I know sent me. And I thought I could make a video on how to restore an ICO HF85 amplifier, or I could take a different approach and I could make a video on how to replace a electrolytic can capacitor. I could make a video on how to replace vintage coupling caps. So I could take a different route with it, and I'm not sure which way to go. Originally I kind of thought, well, I might get more views by going down the how do I replace an electrolytic can cap than I would how to restore an ICO HF85, which might be a much smaller audience of people, whereas the can cap's a pretty generic thing that a lot of people could use. So I'm kind of torn here, but then I've probably got people saying, wow, I'd like to see a full restoration of an ICO HF85 amplifier. And honestly, the reason I'm debating on this one is you can see the unit is pretty rough. The chassis is not in the greatest of shape, and I'm not doing a full restoration. The owner of this just wants me to get it running for him, and doesn't want to go through a full in-depth restoration. So I'll probably break this one up into the videos like I talked about, how to do the can cap, how to replace some coupling caps. So it might be a situational thing, but I just want to get your thoughts on the approach to the videos on how I should do some of these going forward. I ran into a friend at the Winston-Salem Hamfest, and he was saying, Mark, that video you did on the kind of how to troubleshoot an amplifier and how to kind of remove sections. I know it's not this part, I know it's not this part, I know it's not this part, so let's focus here on this part. He said it was one of the best videos I've made yet. So I don't know. Give me your feedback on this approach thing. Okay, I got this email over the last week or so. I thought I'd read it to you. Hello, Mark. Just to note to let you know how valuable your videos have been for me. The town I live in, like more and more towns, do not have a tech anymore. Just got back into the vintage audio world in the last couple of years, and with a few books and YouTube video, mostly yours, I've gotten fairly good at rebuilding equipment and I'm starting to even understand what I'm doing at times. One of these items I have is an RCA 177B tube amp, which is similar to the 177A, but has a choke transformer. I was reluctant to tackle the project because of the weakness of the 6C G7 front end. Then I ran across your video on how to hot rod the front end with 12AX7. Now I'm looking forward to another fun project. Many thanks, Randy. I just wanted to tell you guys, I just pulled this out as an example. I get lots of emails like this, but this is why I do this stuff. It is knowing that I'm helping other people, knowing that I'm expanding the vintage audio community. I'm teaching people how to be a DIYer and fix stuff themselves. This is exactly why I spend hours and hours each week. I wake up early on Saturday and Sunday mornings when I could be sleeping in just to make these videos for you. So I just want to say thanks, Randy, and everybody else that appreciates what I do, and we will keep doing this stuff. All right, over the last month or so, several of you have sent me donations, and I've just been buying stuff for the shop around here. And I thought I would kind of open this box here, because this is one I'd used quite a bit of this stuff over the last little bit, but guy packs this stuff well. eBay seller. You can see here my nice little eBay package. But inside, guess what I've got? I know. I'm like a kid opening candy in a candy store or something here. But what I bought was a bunch of PTFE Teflon wire with my latest donation stuff that I'll use in amp builds, I'll use in restorations and whatnot. Guy named Nav Ships on eBay sells this stuff, and I bought quite a bit of it because I use the heck out of it. So just wanted you to know your donations were going to a good place. That's a good $150 worth of PTFE wire here that I bought. But I had a $200 donation from somebody over the holidays, and I was just ecstatic about it. And I thought I've got to dedicate that to some more PTFE wire so that our next amp build will even look even better. So I just want to say thanks for the donations, and let you know I promise I'm putting this stuff to good use back here in the shop. All right. Last topic of the day, non-inductive versus inductive resistors for an audio dummy load setup. I'm changing my position on this statement. Okay, originally my statement was if you're going to build an audio test bench, why not use non-inductive resistors? Okay, they're cheap enough. Get some, use them, because any type of resistor that's not labeled non-inductive is typically wire wound in nature, and because anytime you wrap a wire around a coil or even air or whatnot, it becomes an inductor. And then you not only have R, which is purely a resistive component, but you have X sub L, which is the inductive reactance that you get from it being like an inductor. However, for audio frequencies, this plays out very little. So it would make a much bigger difference if you were, let's say this was 144 megahertz dummy load, and we were trying to build 50 ohm dummy load for 2 meter use or something on the ham radio band. That wire wound might make a huge difference because of the reactive component. But at audio frequencies, not that big a deal. And here's why I'm changing my position. My original position was if they're cheap enough, why not get rid of that factor altogether and just have a purely non-inductive resistor? Well, here's the reality. Non-inductive resistors, this is a Dale non-inductive 250 ohm 8 watt 1% resistors. These things you used to could get in surplus on eBay all day long for like $15. So I was like, well, why wouldn't you just buy 2 of these for $15 and be done with it, versus $8 or $10 on a wire wound inductive resistor? Well, apparently the source of these over the years, these have all dried up, And now they're not $15, they're like $75 or $100 a piece. And the ones you would buy that are kind of clones of this aren't all that great quality. They're kind of made in China, and the build quality on them is somewhat questionable. People complained a lot about them. In other words, they may not stick to 1% of 8 ohms at all the time. But here's the reality: when you're playing through a speaker, it's not 8 ohms all the time. So if that reactive component's taking you one direction or the other, I mean, your speakers can vary anywhere from 2 to probably 10 ohms or so at any given point in time as the voice coil moves. But so at any rate, you don't have to spend the money on these. Get you some good precision wire wound or similar resistors, and you'll be fine at the audio frequencies. Somewhere around my house here, I have a box, and I think it has 32 of these in it. I just haven't been able to find it in the last 2 or 3 years. It's a box about this big, one of the U.S. Postal 12 by 12 mailing boxes, because I remember putting them into it. If you just knew how many boxes I had in storage around here, you would understand why I can't put my hands on them right now. But if I ever do find them, I'll be glad to share some of them with some of my viewers. I bought these things for $5 a piece years ago, a bunch of them. And now, like I said, they've kind of gotten crazy price-wise. So, anyway, I will cover this much more in depth in when I get into the dummy load / audio analyzer bench unit. But I just thought at a high level I would let you know. I am changing my position on this a little bit. Feel free to get you some non-inductive resistors. I mean, some inductive ones if you need. All right, gonna call it a wrap at this point. Next video up hopefully will be this audio analyzer stuff I'm gonna put together. Hope you're liking the tech tip part of this. Hope you're liking me weave in some Hamfest finds, and we'll continue to give our rants and other random stuff as normal. But thanks again, everybody. Thanks for watching, and we'll keep making these things.